Greetings everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Private Will. So I planned to make a video a little bit earlier in the previous days, but last week was a bit terrible weather-wise over here. We've been hit by a heat wave, and my little playroom here gets pretty hot, so it was I wasn't looking forward to turning off the AC machine, but the machine makes way too much noise and it's almost impossible to record. My sound is already not amazing to begin with. Just gonna move my little flags here for a second. So I wanted to do a quick video about an old game that I used to play back in the 80s and 90s. I haven't played it in almost 30 years now, I think. Now, I was thinking what game to actually do, and I've noticed I've done 2 games on the American Civil War already, and a few of regular kids board games. So I wanted to showcase something a little different. Now, most of my games are usually set up in the time range of 1600 to 1899, the musket era. This is really the era that really interests me when it comes to wargame, line infantry, shooting at each other from both sides, artillery. I'm not that crazy about the naval warfare of that time period. I'm also not that big of a fan of ancient warfare. So, I mean, majority of my games are between 1600 and 1899, for the exception maybe of World War II squad level games. I really like those. And another thing I really enjoy, it's the Cold War era of naval warfare. And this one is definitely a game that falls into this category. It's Sixth Fleet by Victory Games. It was released in 1985, and just a couple of days I've been kind of looking back at this game, open it up a bit, look back at the rules. It was kind of fun to do that. It was like discovering an old high school friend on Facebook that you haven't seen like for decades. And it's pretty much what it felt like with this particular game. It was kind of finding an old friend again. I haven't played it, I think the last time I must have played this was 1994, so at least 40 years now. And the way I'm set up now, I don't really think I'm going to be able to play this even for a video. I just don't have the room for it. These games take a lot of rooms on the map, the counters, and everything. So so now I'm kind of limited now on the space that I have. So it's a little difficult to play this game. But I wanted to change things up a little bit because, like I said, it's just been American Civil War and a few older board games from my youth. I wanted to show something a little different. Now, why do I enjoy Cold War era naval warfare? Well, I find that it's really different than most other era war games. In a lot of times in most of the games, it's like a ship with cannons shooting at each other, pounding, sort of hack and slash, as we like to say in the gaming world. And I find that a little boring. The Cold War era offered something a little different. Obviously, planes were more involved, missiles, and submarine were also much more involved. I think sometimes you can almost think as if this era has like hours of boredom followed by a few minutes of sheer insanity, and that would really describe what a naval battle would have looked like in that particular time frame. Now, Six Fleets by Victory Game, it was the first game that came out in a series of different games, all showcasing an American fleet in a particular geolocation. So Six Fleets was the, I'm not going to be able to say this properly, but it's the Mediterranean, as we say in French. So it was based on the Sixth Fleet American. You had the Second Fleet, the Third Fleet, the Fifth Fleet, located in Pacific, Indian Ocean, North Atlantic. And they all came out pretty much one after the other, one every year after 1985. So there's five or maybe five, if I can remember correctly, of these games. Six Fleets was the first one, and it was a very fun game to play. I'm gonna pull this out. I'm gonna put it aside. Like I said, I haven't played it, but I rearranged it. Everything was sort of in Ziploc bags, but I kind of got everything back into these little containers here. Now, the rule book for this was quite extensive. It was something like 47 pages of rules, if I'm not mistaken. And the rest was pretty much at the end here, it was just like scenarios, rules, and you also had at the end all the compendium of the different ships and classes that are included in the game for the Americans, the Soviet, and all their allies. So it was a typical Cold War era game. So you have of course, the two main opponents. So it would have been the American fleet, the Soviet fleet. In this case, it would have been the Black Sea Fleet for the Soviet. And obviously, since it's taking place in the Med, well, you're gonna have French, Italian. You've got a few units of British, but not that many. The British are not that involved in this particular game, but a lot of French unit and a lot of Italian unit. So this was your logistic. This is what you use to keep track of your fuel and your weapons that you fire, no? And then you need to kind of get resupplied as the game goes on. So you have a record sheet for your different units, and this is the pad that came with it. I had made a few copies on it. And you've got the deployment for the Allies and the Americans and the Soviets. So you can see it's a little beat up. I played with this game quite a lot. Now, what I wanted to show you was the maps, and kind of this is what I did, by the way. I kind of set up everything into these little containers just to make it a bit easier. But what I wanted to show you, was the maps, and why it's a little difficult to play this game. So there's two maps, each containing a part of the Med. And I'm gonna open this up just for a second. So here we go. You got this is the western part. So you got Spain, North Africa here, and Italy is here at the bottom here. And as you can see, it's a pretty big map. Kind of take most of my space here on the table, and you got two of them. So and normally you would have put it like in the other way, but I just don't. It's sticking out too much of the table here, so I can't really show it like that. But as you can see, this is why it's so tricky to play this game now. I just don't really have the space for it, unfortunately. You got all your charts here, and turns, and all your player aids going through here. The game was really fun to play. Basically, you had a different scenarios that you could play, which help you learn the games, and you had the typical kind of allies and culprits, you know, like for example Libya for the Soviets, you know, and then obviously Italy and France for the Americans, and a few neutrals like you know, Tunisia, Algeria, and other ones in the eastern part like Greece and Turkey. So each scenario contained basically you needed to move your units, and you had some objectives to complete. Basically land some marine unit or paratroopers in different location. You had to bring in supplies in certain scenarios to complete the victory. So it was and the rules obviously meant that you could not see the enemy until you kind of discovered them, even though you'd see some of the counters on the map, but you would see like task force moving, but you weren't very sure exactly what was included in that particular task force. The rules at first, this is where to play the game was basically learn the basic rules, play the scenarios for that, then go on to the more advanced rules, play those scenarios until you got to the campaign game, which was of course the major thing to play. It was massive. Not a whole lot of unit, something like 600 I think. The Americans and the Soviets are the ones with the most unit. There's a lot of these little special counters here, like mines and out of fuels, out of supplies, and things of that nature. Most of the other counters are just, like I said, the allies and unallied sort of neutral navies. Just to show you what some of the counters, like I didn't really place them in any specific orders here. I just went to, you know, mix them up a bit. So for example, here you've got a old style, I don't know if it's going to focus, F-18, sorry, from the US. So you can put this in on your aircraft carrier, and you would have something like this, like a old supply ship. What's funny about most of these units obviously are no longer in use. Most of them have been retired. You know, that's so it's kind of fun to look at them play with these now, since most of them are either retired or have been completely destroyed, you know, for recycling. It's been almost 40 years for most of them. Some of them were even older than that. I mean, there's the Clemenceau here, the French aircraft carrier, which goes back to the 1950s, and there's a couple of US carriers also going back to the 50s. I think there's a Forrestal in this particular game that was included, which was a naval aircraft carrier, something like 25 years, I think, by the time this game came out. But like I said, it's an era that I really enjoyed playing. Back in the day, we used to play Harpoon. If you're familiar with that, you'll know what I'm talking about. Harpoon was a very, very complex simulation of naval warfare from that particular time in the 1970s and 80s. The way it plays is you would play, you could play with miniatures, but most of the time it was just everything on paper. And the best way to play this game, Harpoon for example, was to one or two player playing one side, one or two player playing the other side, and there was a ref in between, and you didn't know exactly where your enemy units were. You had to find them. You had the helicopters, planes to make your search. The only person in the entire game who knew where everything was the referee, and then he would notify you when you would find something, and sometimes you would know something, but the other players may not know what it is. So it was a very, very fun game to play in that particular. Like I said, certain games you had miniature also, but most of the time you'd play on paper. Later on, it came out on computer around 1989, I think, 1990. So I had that also. on the computer for a long time. I don't think it exists anymore anywhere. I haven't seen anything about Harpoon for a long time. So, but this one was sort of a step down from Harpoon, a little easier to play, and typical war game of that particular era. It was you had the perfect unit. It was just like NATO versus Soviet pack. So you know, you can make it more obvious than that. There's a few units of Marines, like I said, and paratroopers and special combat units, but most of the game is kind of thinking about naval warfare. So, well, there you have it. I just wanted to do this before I jump into something else. Like I said, I do have another game that I'm planning to showcase, but that's going to be a musket game. Obviously, can't help myself. But in between that, before I was doing that, I wanted to kind of talk about this particular game. I was looking at it this week, and it was kind of fun to bring it back out, kind of organize the units. It's a little beat up. I've played with it a lot. As you can see, the rule book is not in the best condition, but it's a game that I really enjoyed, and I might someday find a way to bring it out and showcase it. I would really love to play it again. Maybe a scenario, because usually scenarios only take a certain portion of the map. They don't take all the map, so I might try that. I don't know. Like I said, a lot of times it's just I don't really have the time nowadays to play these games like I used to as a teenager. I'm a bit older now, obviously, and well, who knows? Maybe one day, once I'm retired, I might think about it. I'll see what I can do. I think it will be very fun to put this game on video and have a little quick playthrough with it. So there you have it. That was my look at Sixth Fleet from Victory Games, released back in 1985. Let me know in the comment if you ever played this game. I've seen a few videos on YouTube, some of them going back 5 or 7 years ago, so nothing recent about it. So that's another thing why I wanted to bring it out, because not much about it has been showcased about this game. So let me know if you played this game, if you enjoyed it, if you ever heard of it before, but you just never had the chance. And tell me what you felt about it, if you liked it or thought it was boring, whatever. So there you have it. So I'm going to finish this with here. And I'm going to wish you a good day. Until next time, stay safe, everyone.